A very good evening. This is Prime Time News here on TV1, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I am Ruhazi Irfan. Before we move on any further, here's a look at your headlines for this bulletin.
Court will decide on the date of the election. However, economic crisis cannot be solved through legal action, says President. SJB and opposition protest in Parliament demanding election. Parliament session limited to 45 minutes, but several legislations passed. Basil meets SLPP local government heads.
Sir, the matter
Jatika Janabalawegya protests demanding election. Ports, electricity, water supply and petrol trade unions to protest tomorrow.
Now on to your top story this evening. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized that the primary issue facing the country is the economic problem and that it cannot be solved through legal action. The President made these comments in Kandy on Monday evening.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe held a meeting with businessmen and lawyers in Kandy district at the President's house in Kandy on Monday evening. The President had commented on the current state of affairs, and the President's media division released details of the meeting on Tuesday. Quote,
"The primary issue facing the country is its economic problem, and addressing it should be a top priority. The upcoming election is not a means to change the government. The court is expected to make a decision on the date for the local government election. However, the country's economic problem is not something that can be resolved through legal action, even if all judges, including the Chief Justice, are involved. The Parliament is responsible for addressing and improving the state of the economy. Therefore, it is essential for all 225 members of Parliament to come together and work towards a resolution that will help recover the economy."
Unquote. The President also noted that if required, even proposals put forth by political parties such as Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Samaki Janabalawegya, Iran and Harsha could be submitted to the International Monetary Fund for assistance.
If anyone has alternative proposals that could help achieve this goal, I am open to discuss and explore them in every possibility. In fact, I would like to offer the opportunity for those proposals to be presented to the heads of the International Monetary Fund in Washington for further discussion and potential support.
President Wickremesinghe also noted that if the International Monetary Fund does not provide assistance, the people will have to endure a lot more difficulties.
One person in this country opposed the decision to increase the electricity tariff. As a result, receiving assistance from the International Fund was delayed by 6 weeks. Alternatively, we could have completed this by the end of January. All 15 tasks assigned to us have been completed. Now it is up to the International Monetary Fund. The Paris Club, India and China have reached an agreement on debt restructuring. There is a process followed by the Paris Club when giving assurances. India has a separate process and China has another, but there is no agreement on that. That is being discussed further. On the 23rd, the Finance Ministry of the G20 countries are scheduled to hold a discussion in Bangalore, India. During the meeting, it is expected to look into how to restructure the debt of countries whose economies have collapsed. There, I hope to discuss the debt restructuring method of Sri Lanka with the Chinese Finance Minister. As per their stand, we have 2 or 3 options to implement. If the International Monetary Fund does not provide assistance, the people will have to endure a lot more difficulties due to the unavailability of fuel and 12-hour power cuts. Moreover, there will be a shortage of fertilizer for the Yala season.
මේක පිළිනොගත්තොත් වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? යල කන්නේට පෝර නැහැ. තෙල් නැහැ. ලයිට් පෑ 12ක්වත් කපන්න වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මම කියන්නේ අපි ඔක්කොම මෙතෙන්ට එකඟ වෙලා මෙතෙන්ට යන්න ඕනේ.
Meanwhile, the President also says that financial agreement with international financial bodies can only be tabled in Parliament once the final agreement is reached.
I don't know whether what we introduce can be called a budget or a rescue operation. It's not a normal budget where you have annual expenditure of the government matched with the revenues that can be raised. The budget for 2023 is really an economic rescue package. No one else has come up with any other alternative so far. No one has come up with another institution for fundraising or any other country to bail us out Because no country will bail out another country, and nor is there any other institution do so. But they did help us in a different way. Under their different headings to help to give relief and to encourage food production, they gave us fertilizer, they gave us money for medicine. So all those relief funds were given to us. As a result, then our money was saved to buy the fuel. Now if we put these agreements out, all that money will stop. Once the agreement, the board finally gives agreement after discussing with the creditors, we will table the agreement in Parliament. We can't do that until the board agreement is given.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin on Monday said that China will continue to support relevant financial institutions in actively working out the debt treatment.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin on Monday said that the Export-Import Bank of China has already provided Sri Lanka with a letter to express support for its debt sustainability. According to the spokesperson, the letter says that the bank is going to provide an extension on the debt service due in 2022 and 2023, which means Sri Lanka will not have to repay the principal and interest due of the bank's loans during the above-mentioned period, so as to help relieve Sri Lanka's short-term debt repayment pressure. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said the Export-Import Bank of China would like to have a friendly consultation with Sri Lanka regarding medium and long-term debt treatment in this window period, and the bank will make best efforts to contribute to the debt sustainability of Sri Lanka. He added that the Export-Import Bank of China also noted that it will support Sri Lanka in its loan application to the IMF. In the meantime, the bank will also continuously call on commercial creditors, including the international sovereign bondholders, to provide debt treatment in an equally comparable manner and encourage multilateral creditors to do their utmost making corresponding contributions.
Tuesday's Parliament session was limited to 45 minutes as opposition MPs led by the Samagi Janabalawege gave protest in the House demanding for the local government election to be held. Speaker Mahinda Apabewardana had no option but to adjourn sessions on Wednesday morning.
As per the ICCPR, if we do not hold elections, we will lose the GSP Plus concessions. Japanese companies are leaving the country. Germany is also leaving the country. Is it right for the Treasury Secretary or even the President to be authoritative like this?
යෝජනා අංක 2 සභාව එකඟද නියමිත කටයුතු වලට අදාළ විෂයාංක 1 2 නායකතුමනි මේ දායකත්ව හේතුවෙන් කුඩා තෙවත්
SLPP General Secretary was also seen in the House along with other opposition MPs. The Freedom People's Congress, the Tamil National Alliance and other opposition parties that supported the SJB took part in the protest. However, MPs from the Jathika Janabalawegaya were not present in the chamber at the time. Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abewardhana adjourned sessions to Wednesday morning.
As the opposition, we launched the struggle to protect democracy from within Parliament. We will take measures within and outside of Parliament against the arbitrary and undemocratic steps by informing the diplomatic missions and the international community. We cannot be for certain what measures will be taken in the future. On behalf of the people, we will continue with our struggles strategically to secure an election.
Journalists questioned SLPP leader and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa on delaying the elections.
දැන් මේ පසුබිම නිර්මාණය වෙමින් තිබෙන්නේ මැතිවරණයේ කල්යන පැත්තට ඔබතුමා හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් විදිහට මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාගේ ස්ථාවර අපි කැමති ඡන්ද තියනවා.
The ruling party parliamentary group meeting took place on Tuesday morning in Parliament and it was chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa among others were present. The ruling party MPs were prized over two orders relating to the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act that will be debated on Wednesday. The President had informed the MPs that the National Election Commission has not informed the President nor the government on delaying the local government election.
The President said the chairman of the Election Commission has not made any notification and that he was only aware of what is reported in the media. As per the Act, if there is an issue, the chairman of the Election Commission must inform the Parliament. Then we can discuss the matter.
Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyalla said that during the meeting of the Committee on Parliamentary Business, a request was made for a special debate on Wednesday on the country's present state of affairs. However, that request was turned down by the ruling faction.
අපි විවාදයක් කිල්ලුව හෙට ඒගොල්ලෝ අනිත දෙන්න කිව්වා නම් අපි කිව්වා අපිට හෙට විවාදය වුණේ ආණ්ඩුව දෙන්න බෑ කිව්වා.
National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Basil Rajapaksa, summoned a meeting with all the heads of the local government institutions represented by the SLPP at the party head office. The local government election was discussed at this meeting.
මැතිවරණ ගැන මොකද? තියයිද? ගන්න ඒක බලන්න බෑ. කාවිය විශ්කුගෙන්ද බලමු. ඔබතුමාලගේ සූදානම කොහමද පොට්ටුවේ? අපි සූදානම් නේ?
Advice was given on how to operate in the event the elections are delayed. In addition, advice was given on how to operate if the elections go ahead and how we should carry out our election campaign. We are engaged in a strong yet different approach. The necessary advice was given.
ඒ නිසා තමයි ඡන්දි කල් දාන්න හදන්න කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ. ඒක ඇත්තටම ඡන්ද තියනවද ඔබතුමාලා?
ආණ්ඩුව කියන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා.
The SLPP is not the government. What exists is the government of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The SLPP as a party is not the government.
පක්ෂය ආණ්ඩුව කියන තැන අපි නැහැ.
The Freedom People's Congress wrote to the foreign missions in Sri Lanka over the present state of affairs surrounding the local government election.
The Freedom People's Congress, in a letter to foreign missions in Sri Lanka, have expressed their deep concern over the present situation surrounding the franchise of the people. The letter notes that the time frames for the conduct of elections at all levels are defined by the Constitution of Sri Lanka and other applicable statutory regimes. It notes that compliance with these requirements is mandatory, there being no flexibility or scope for exercise of discretion. The Freedom People's Congress says that for the first time in Sri Lanka's history, the government of the day has adopted the startling position that an election cannot be held because the financial resources required are not available, adding that the implications of this will be apparent upon a moment's reflection. It warned that at its sole discretion the government of the day will be entitled to postpone any election on the ground of unavailability or inadequacy of resources, a power which it will no doubt be tempted to exercise in any circumstances where imminent defeat is probable. It requested the diplomatic missions to bring this distressing state of affairs to the notice of their respective capitals with a view to prevailing on the government of Sri Lanka to desist from a course of action gravely detrimental to the nation.
Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando, the spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Colombo, speaking to reporters, presented a letter from His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith that included matters relating to the local government election.
මැතිවරණයේ කල්දැමීම හෝ අවලංගු කිරීම රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ විනාශ කිරීමට දරන
Delaying or cancelling an election is a dictatorial move to ruin democracy in the country. This will not only impact the local government election but will impact all future elections, where a dictatorial rule will reign by cancelling the elections. This will set a very dangerous precedent to the country, in a backdrop where the state officials and the political authority are blatantly violating democracy and human rights. Sri Lanka will be disrespected within the international community. It is of paramount importance to secure the support of the IMF, United Nations, international agencies and other countries to recover from this economic crisis. We appeal from the political authorities and the respective state officials not to engage in any arbitrary, anti-people or anti-democratic act that would tarnish the image of the country and take away the opportunity of accessing international support for their sole selfish intention of retaining to power. If public dismay over the government is reason for delaying the elections, we believe the rulers of this country would be humble enough to face the election and change based on the results, and would also have the mindset to prevent themselves from going down in history as a group of cowards who feared defeat.
ඉතිහාසගත වීම වළක්වා ගැනීමට තරම් බුද්ධිය අපේ රටේ නායකයන් සතුව ඇතැයි අපි සිතනවා.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa says that legal action will be taken against all those who sabotage the elections. The opposition leader made these remarks while attending a public meeting held in Mavanella.
Independence Day can be celebrated by spending a lot of money, but this government is unable to hold elections to protect the people's franchise. The government, led by the president, has taken over the role of the secretary to the finance ministry, the role of the government printer, and are creating conspiracies to take away the people's right to exercise their franchise, stating that there is a lack of funds. That democratic sovereign right has been crushed. We will bring all those who sabotage the elections before the law. We will bring before the law those who are taking away the people's right to vote.
අනාගතේ නීතිය හමුවට අධිකරණය හමුවට සියලු දෙනාම රැගෙන එනවා කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
The Jatika Jana Balavegya held protests in Galle and Kegol on Tuesday, seeking to secure the people's right to vote. The protest was centered on the theme, loosely translated as "Defeat the conspiracy of the cowardly government that is trying to bury democracy by delaying the elections."
When we were anticipating to defeat the entire lot that ruined this country, Ranil Wickremesinghe, who became the savior of the Rajapaksas, is trying to take away the election. If that is the case, Ranil and Mahinda have no place here. For the past 74 years, you ruined our country. You looted this country like a group of sea pirates looting from a ship. We have no electricity and no way to eat. The people have now gathered around the compass. The power of the compass has gone past 80%. They fear this election.
මාලිමාවේ බලය 175 80 පණ්ඩල ඉවරයි. දැන් මුංගේ සලක් තෙත් වෙනවා. කලිසම් තෙත් වෙනවා. එතකොට මුම් මැතිවරණ අකුලනවා.
Another protest organised by the Jatika Jana Balavegya took place in Kegol.
We are protesting to demand the people's right to vote be secured and this act of sabotage be suspended, who is trying to delay these elections. A person who has no mandate by the people, who fear the people, is trying to sabotage the election. We urge him not to do that.
ජනතාවට අකමැති පුද්ගලයෙක් තමයි මේ නීති විරෝධී විදියට මැතිවරණය කඩාකප්පලම් කරන්න කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
More news will come after this short commercial break. Stay tuned with us.
News First, main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you. Experience the best in healthcare at Durden's Hospital. We continue to evolve into a purpose-built hospital built to deliver world-class care. trusting us for all your healthcare needs. Darden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Welcome back to the news. While the opposition staged their protest in Parliament today, the ruling faction took the opportunity of passing several legislations in the House.
4 regulations under the Sri Lanka Tea Board law and 5 regulations under the Companies Act were presented during the protests in Parliament.
යෝජනා අංක 1 අර කතානායකතුමනි පළවෙනි යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. සභාව එකඟද? යෝජනා අංක 2 ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. සභාව එකඟද? 1 සිට 5 දක්වා යෝජනා කිරීම රමේෂ් පතිරණ මැතිතුමා. පහක් තියෙනවා. සම්මත කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
අද දින න්‍යායපත්‍ර දිනට නියමිත කටයුතු වලට අදාළ විෂයාංක 1 2 3 4 පහ මම ඉදිරිපත් කරමි. යෝජනා සම්මත කර ගැනීම පිණිස ඔබතුමාගේ අනුමැතිය අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ කර්මාන්ත සංවර්ධනය වෙනුවෙන් සමාගම් රෙජිස්ට්‍රාර් කාර්යාලයේ ලියාපදිංචි ගාස්තු සංශෝධන වැඩසටහනක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. එම ගාස්තු සංශෝධනයත් ඉදිරිපත් කොට සංශෝධනය කළත් අපි මේ ගරු සභාවෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
යෝජනා අංක 1 හායි යෝජනා අංක 2 හායි යෝජනා අංක 3 හායි යෝජනා අංක 4 හායි යෝජනා අංක 5 බෙදීමක් ඉල්ලනවා බෙදීමක් සම්මත වෙලා ඉවරයි.
අද දින න්‍යායපත්‍ර දිනට නියමිත කටයුතු වලට අදාළ විෂයාංක 1 2 3 4 සහ ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. අල්තබන්නේ ලෙස ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා ගරු කතානායකතුමනි.
සභාව හෙට දිනේ පෙරවරු 9:30 දක්වා කල්තබනු ලැබේ.
MP Vimal Veeramansa protested that his party was not given an opportunity when appointing representatives to committees, including the Committee on Public Finance.
When the chief opposition whip appoints representative of the opposition to the committees, he appoints members only from his own party. Is that the right way? They cannot be fair and just when doing something like this. What is the purpose of this opposition leader and the chief opposition whip? Who are they? The opposition leader and the chief opposition whip must take responsibility.
ස්වාධීන කණ්ඩායමට ඉඩ තියලා there's room ඉඩ තියලායි අපි තාම ඉඩ තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, a heated exchange arose regarding the reappointment of Dr. Harsha De Silva as the chairman of the Public Finance Committee.
සභාපතිකම විපක්ෂයට දෙන්න ඕනේ මුදල් කාර්ය සභාවේ අපි විපක්ෂ වෙනුවෙන් හර්ෂද සිල්වා මැතිතුමා යෝජනා කරනවා. ඔබතුමා දෙනවද?
ඔව් අපි එකඟ වුණා නේ.
අවුරුදු දෙකකට කලින් ඔබතුමා ස්ථාවර නියෝගات ඊට වෙලා ආණ්ඩුවට දුන්නා.
මේ වෙලාවේ ස්ථාවර නියෝග නවත්තලා නෑ නේ කරුවා මැතිතුමා. ඔබතුමාලා යෝජනා කරන්න කවුරු හරි මන් දන්නේ හර්ෂද වෙන කවුරුවක්ද කියලා.
Dr. Harsha De Silva in a tweet stated that he has been reappointed as the chairman of the Public Finance Committee. The MP had mentioned that the ruling party's attempt to divide the opposition was not successful. However, a few hours later, the MP once again tweeted that the Communications Department of the Parliament is delaying the release of the announcement of his appointment as the chairman of the Public Finance Committee, citing various excuses. The tweet further noted, quote, "Who has the power to change the decision of the Parliament? For whose benefit?" unquote.
Trade unions attached to petroleum, electricity, water supply and ports have planned to launch a mass protest on Wednesday against the unjust tax regime.
We have taken a decision. We will implement it within the day tomorrow. We will gather at the Fort Railway Station. The strategic points that include electricity, ports, banking sector, petroleum, water supply are coming together, and that means the government will face a major problem. The employees are unable to pay their taxes and bills anymore. We are challenging the government. If the government does not revise this arbitrary tax policy, we are left with nothing but to strike. We are currently discussing how the strikes will be conducted. Our number one request is that this tax policy should be revised. I think they are avoiding this request because they want us to strike. We are ready to provide that.
Here's a look at the rate of inflation for January 2023.
According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the overall rate of inflation measured by the National Consumer Price Index on a year-on-year basis for January 2023 was 53.2%. Food inflation for January 2023 was 53.6%.
Today is International Mother Language Day, and a special event was organized at Independence Square in Colombo to recognize the importance of mother language. The event was organized by the Bangladesh High Commission in Colombo, as it was Bangladesh that fought for the right to speak the mother language.
Foreign missions flanked Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and State Minister of Foreign Affairs Taraka Balasuriya were among the many who were present to celebrate International Mother Language Day at Independence Square in Colombo. International Mother Language Day, which falls on the 21st of February, has been recognized by the UN since 1999.
The mother language identity brings the universal uniqueness of individuals with all the diversities and differences we may either inherit or create. We here are gathered as a microcosm of the diversity. If we are diverse, it demands us to be united. If one thinks the uniqueness of his or her identity, then it also pushes us to respect, value, and to work with the other unique identities.
Language promote deep understanding, trust, tolerance, and dialogue among cultures and communities. They facilitate social harmony and reconciliation. Linguistic diversity enhances the unity and cohesion among societies. And as you know, absence of all these is what dividing our world today. Instilling these profound values in our younger generation is crucial for leading the tomorrow's world. Every 2 weeks, one language disappears from the face of the earth. If we are working for preserving the extinct species, why can't we work for preserving our mother tongue?
Winners of the school art and creative writing competitions held in line with International Mother Language Day were presented with awards. This celebration of cultural and linguistic diversity has its roots in a 1950s movement that fought for the right to speak Bangla in Bangladesh, then called East Pakistan. On the 21st of February 1952, 5 students in Bangladesh were killed while protesting for the right to speak their mother tongue. UNESCO declared this day to be International Mother Language Day in 1999, and it is now a celebration of cultural and linguistic diversity around the world.
A group of police officers who were trapped in the Damodara Reserve due to overflowing of the Kumbukkan Oya was safely transferred to shore by Sri Lanka Navy. A team from Sri Lanka Navy's Rapid Action Boat Squadron responded to a call to transfer police team across the raging Kumbukkan following heavy downpour in the Monaragala district. The team of police personnel were engaged in a special operation in the Damodara Reserve and had no way out with the overflowing of Kumbukkan. On the 20th of February, the Disaster Management Centre informed the Navy headquarters that the Okkampitiya police was in a spot of bother as one of its team deployed in a special operation in Damodara Reserve had no way out with the overflowing of the Kumbukkan Oya. In response to the request for assistance, 8 personnel of the Navy RABs and 2 aircraft attached to the SLNS Mahanaga in the Southeastern Naval Command were deployed for the rescue and transfer operation. Tonight we take a look at the Air Force's own formidable commandos. The training wing of the Regiment Special Force is located in a land area that is covered with dense thickets of trees interlaced with streams and lakes.
Sri Lankan Sky Warriors.
3000 back off mic.
This is the Regiment Special Forces wing of the Sri Lanka Air Force. The Air Force has its own formidable commandos who are able to fight on any terrain. The men of the Regiment Special Force lived by the motto, never accept defeat. They are a battle-experienced world-class airborne command force and an asset of the defence of Sri Lanka. These gallant paratroopers are trained and made battle-ready at Sri Lanka Air Force Station Morawava, and their primary role is air-based defence and rescue operations. The Regiment Special Forces of the Sri Lanka Air Force are ready to attend any emergency around the clock. The regiment's special forces start their day with a series of grueling exercises, something unique to this special commando outfit. The officers and airmen who apply to join the elite commando unit must first make it through a tough selection test and must follow a series of courses that are tougher than the previous one. This is where the RSF obtain their training to take part in air, sea and land-based rescue missions. The training is aimed at preparing a unit that can respond to any disaster situation in the country and give priority to the safety of the citizens. This kind of mental willpower and combat discipline requires nerves of steel.
Sri Lankan Sky Warriors.
A Sri Lankan peacekeeper serving in Mali had died recently, and a military salute was accorded to the remains of late Lance Corporal MGL Deshapriya over the weekend.
Peacekeeping troops of the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali formally presented a military salute and bid farewell to the late Lance Corporal MGL Deshapriya of the 6th Sri Lankan Army Service Corps. He had passed away on the 11th of February 2023 following a sudden cardiac arrest upon admission to the MINUSMA Bakamo Level 3 hospital. In conformity with UN traditions, MINUSMA troops presented a salute lowering flags and honored their comrade during the formal military parade before floral tributes were made to the coffin. The remains of late Lance Corporal MGL Deshapriya, a father of 2 children, is to be brought to Sri Lanka shortly for final funeral arrangements.
Now on to your news overseas. London's Mayor Sadiq Khan has announced he's launching a £130 million scheme to give every primary school pupil free school meals for the next academic year.
The office said it estimated the one-off funding could help more than 270,000 children in the capital during the 2023-24 academic year. The spokesperson added that the plans were also expected to save families about £440 per child over the year. Charities and unions have welcomed the news but said more action was needed. The mayor's office said the scheme, which will be implemented in September and run during term time only for the length of the academic year, was one-off funding from the additional business rates income.
And this brings us to an end of Primetime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I am Nazir Irfan. Good night and take care.